So the question is, if a kid went through such a horrible experience in the yeshiva system and had a lot of pain, and now he's off the derech, and he seems to be quote-unquote happy, says he's happy, and life is good, why should he ever come back to Yiddishkeit? That's the question? Okay, the answer is, there are many, many points to this, but the answer is as follows. First of all, we believe that every single Jewish child is a chelik elokei mimal mamish, and was at Har Sinai. And that's a piece that cannot be drowned out and covered up. And since that is who we are, we're never going to really be able to live a life without Torah and Ruchnius and feel truly fulfilled. So even though if it was anything else, let's say he was in painting school and he had a horrible experience and was abused by the teacher there and was thrown out, you can live the rest of your life, I'm never going to paint. If it was anything else, you can shut down, you say, I'm never going to do that. You have a bad experience going to visit Europe, you're never going to Europe again. You could do that with everything, but you can't deny who you are. We have kids who were officially atheists, who are today Shomer Torah mitzvahs. We have kids who were written off. I have many, many stories of kids who you would say, why? And all of a sudden, that same kid, you see the power of what a Jewish soul is. You see, it's unbelievable. We had a kid in Home Sweet Home who, before coming to Home Sweet Home, Shmad, he was Christian. He baptized himself. So if I would have asked you, is this kid ever going to come back? If I would have told you everything that he did from 15 to 17 years old, you would say, no way. But he's married today with frum kids. They all come back. Everybody comes back to their roots, to their shirish. Everybody eventually gets over the pain and trauma. It's true. The more pain there is, the longer it'll take. But eventually, everybody does tshuva, and that's what we believe. Yishmael did tshuva. Yishmael, who could be worse than Yishmael? But Lamaisa, he did tshuva before he died. And the Medrash says that for 3,500 years since he died, he's learning with Avram Avinu in Gan Eden. He's in Gan Eden with the best chavrus in the world because he did tshuva. So he will do tshuva. And he was by Har Sinai. That's number one. Number two, even though he seems, quote unquote, very, very happy, we know that he suffered a lot in his life. As you know, he suffered a lot of pain. Therefore, the happiness is not real. The decisions are not real. It's not who he is. It's not who he wanted to be. He could say, this is who I am. There's a beautiful clip that somebody went to the Lubavitcher Rebbe and told him that he's Christian. He shmad. And the Rebbe said something basically like, refuah shalema. And he said, no, I'm fine. So he said, if you don't realize that you're sick, you're even sicker. For a Jewish person who has a neshama inside of him to not even realize how sick he is, he's even sicker. Over time, we must have in our group at least 30, I think it's closer to 40 kids, adults, young adults, that claim that they were mamish atheists. And they would swear and they would fight you on it and they would battle for it. And the same kids years later are not. And the chap and the chiddush is, none of them got any answers to their questions. Everybody thinks that the way to make an atheist a not atheist is to argue with them and to win them over and give them knowledge and logic, and that makes things much worse. You give them medicine. You give the medicine that makes the atheism go away and evaporate, and they still have the same questions. And we all have the same questions, and we're still frum. Why did Hashem kill 1 million babies in the Holocaust? Why did Hashem tell Shaul to kill children? Where was God here? It's all the same questions. We all have it. It's very difficult questions. So when they have an agenda, because they're hurt and they're in a lot of pain and they're spiritually sick, then that's what happens. They have the questions, and when they get healthier, then they're able to have the same questions and still come back to Yiddishkeit. The third part of it is that there's a medicine for your problem. So it's like saying someone has Nebuch Yana Machla, why would he ever get healthy? Because we're doing radiation treatment. Adam Kasher, Sheyatza Banav, L'tarbus Rois U'Lekfira. There was a good man like you, good Jews like you, and the kids went L'tarbus Rois, and Kfira, atheism. V'tziva ha-Baal Shem Tov, the Baal Shem Tov commanded them, Lehoi Vaisam B'Yaiser. Give this extra love, whatever this is, this Lehoi Vaisam B'Yaiser that we're trying to do. U'mach mazois Yeitzei Mikfira, and because of that he will leave atheism. And that's the same thing that the Chazon Ish said. So we have a machla, and when you look at the machla, you say, well, why would he ever want to get healthy? You have medicine. We have medicine that we believe be'emunah shlema in the Baal Shem Tov, in the Chazon Ish, in the Rav Pam, in the Rav Gersh Nadelstein, in the Lubavitcher Rebbe, in the Satmar Rebbe. They all had the same. I have a collection of hundreds of stories. They all ended up with the same medicine. And as Rav Gershon Shlita said, Zuhi hatrufa hayichida. This is the only medicine. So when you see somebody with fever, they have 104 fever, why would he ever want to be healthy? I have Tylenol. So Baruch Hashem, we have a derech. We have a derech that has had tremendous hatzlacha. 4 kids who are in his matziv, and even worse. And we believe what the Baal Shem Tov said and the Chazon Ish said. And we're really not asking him to do anything to become different. We're not saying, will he become a black belt? No, he won't become a black belt. To be who you are, to get over the pain that was caused to you, to change your mindset and to strive for a higher connection, for a life of purpose and meaning, is going to happen be'ezus Hashem to every kid. I hate to sound morbid, but there are some kids that maybe it's going to be by your levaya and they're going to say Kaddish and they're going to come back. Now, my dream is that we should live to see it and enjoy it. You shouldn't have to wait for that. But it will happen. But it'll only happen if the Dmus Yuknai Shel Aviv, when they think of you, they remember your smile and your love. That's the only way it's going to happen. If you give rejection to a child who's in that matziv, then it's again hurting. It's a new trauma. It's a new pain. So it's not like, when I was a kid, I had a hard time in this yeshiva system, or when I was a kid, I was molested, when I was a kid. It becomes now the trauma, that now they don't like me, they don't accept me, and they reject me in the name of Torah. So now, when you use the Torah as a baseball bat, you're starting now again from fresh. But you're not being merachik him. You're being makarev him. He's going to remember my father, my mother were always kind to me. And that's how he's going to want to be. He's going to want to do something for an aliyah, for your neshama. And that's the last resort. There's a long time between now and his deathbed, and I don't want to get morbid on you. That's the last thing. I'm just saying it's going to happen. As long as he does tshuva before he dies, he ends up in Gan Eden. We have a wonderful system. You do tshuva me'ahava, the averis become mitzvahs. So right now, don't look at it like he's doing averis. Look at it like he's preparing all these mitzvahs that are going to happen, because it's like dominoes. It's like you do tshuva me'ahava, and it flips around. I heard that the Rogatchover said, I didn't see it inside, but someone told me that the Rogatchover said that he feels jealous of the Bali Avera. He says, because I can never do so many mitzvahs. When you do tshuva, I'm never going to be able to do so many mitzvahs like you're going to be able to do, because you do so many mitzvahs. The Rogatchover said even weiter. But what kind of mitzvahs? Because my mitzvahs could be it's tired and not geschmack, with no cheshek. Because your mitzvahs, you're on fire. You're such a balaveri. You're doing your mitzvahs besimcha, the averis besimcha, and with cheshek. Look what kind of mitzvahs you're going to have when it flips around. It's a real thing. It's hard to imagine. And Siva Shalom says, how can we even imagine such a thing, that you punch your spouse, and then when you make up, you'll be happy if he forgets about it or she forgets about it, you'll be happy. It turns into as if you bought your wife jewelry. How does that happen? You sin against Hashem, you do tshuva me'ahava, Hashem counts it as a mitzvah. It's not a joke. How does it happen? And there are many reasons why it works, but it does work. So right now he's doing a lot of smart groundwork, and he's going to make sure that one day he's going to do tshuva me'ahava. He's going to have millions and millions of averis. Anyway, we don't really look at them. We don't know. Anusim, shaygig, messed up, chaylim, shaitim, I don't know what they are. We're not in the Bezin Shalmala, we're not in the Bezin Shalmata, but it's not so pashut, the whole story. Another thing is, he's going to heal over time. People get traumatized from being in a system that spits you out, or whatever his pain and trauma is. Over time, he's going to get over it. It becomes 10, 15 years ago. It's not current. And another thing is, people mature over time. I see these kids that I dealt with in Home Sweet Home. They were 15, 16, 17, 18. You become 35, you get older. And a crazy story. I told you this story. Home Sweet Home, true story. All my stories are true. Home Sweet Home volunteer calls me up. He says, you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this. I'm trying to get an account from a company, a pretty decent-sized company, and I'm dealing with a CFO, chashuv a guy, for already with email for a few months. And finally, we had a conversation on the phone for the first time. I'm talking to the guy, and his voice just sounds familiar. I know this voice. He goes, after a few minutes, I tell him, does the name Avi Fishoff mean anything to you? So the guy says, sure. I was in Home Sweet Home. This kid was in Home Sweet Home, was working in a Sfarim store for $8 an hour, and this guy, my friend, was a volunteer. And now, 10 years later, he's going to this kid to try to get his business because he's a CFO of a company, from married. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. I have a cousin of mine that just got a job at a new thing. He was in construction. He got another job. He's working for one of my Home Sweet Home boys. I mean, the guy has a serious company. He's doing really well. So, life at 16, life at 18, life at 20, life at 25 is different. You're 30, you're 35, you're 40. Life could be very long. They mature. A lot of things can change along the way. I hope we're not going to have to wait for the last resort. Okay? I want you to be able to enjoy him and have you the shanachas from him tonight. But don't worry, it's going to happen. Every person goes back to his shirish. The pain is going to dissipate over time. Maybe he'll do some trauma therapy. Maybe he'll do some medication. Things happen over time. We just had over here tonight where your son had a lot of Gaisha friends and Jewish friends, and it didn't work out with the Gaisha friends. Now he knows I can't rely on them either. He's going to come back to the Jewish friends. Yesh tikva. Believe in what the Baal Shem Tov said. Believe what the Chazon Ish said. You're doing a treatment method. The only thing you really have to worry about is, are we doing the most that we can do of Lehoy Vaysim B'Yosir? That's what you have to be thinking day, afternoon, night, morning, night, Shachris, Mincha, Marv. What am I missing? What can I do more? And usually the part that's difficult for you, you're going to neglect. Once had parents here, they said, we're here a year. It's not going so well. It's not bad. We don't do the gift thing. We don't apologize to the kid. We don't. It's a system that's set up on an individual basis to really change the mindset of the kid from negative to positive. And you're doing that. You're making a Kiddush Hashem every time you hug him with your from person, embracing him and all of his tumah and all of his averis. You're showing him, I'm not giving up on you. I'm not giving up on you. I just sent around today from Eli Wiesel. Eli Wiesel? Eli Wiesel. Right? Amazing. The kid was a modern Orthodox kid in a yeshiva, and he went off the derech. He said, my father always stuck with me, and now the guy's learning Daf Yomi. Yehiratzin for all of you. Your kids should be learning not Daf Yomi, Be'iyun. You don't want your kids learning Daf Yomi. Satmar, forget about it. Sorry, wrong bracha for the wrong guy. Okay, they should be Isaac B'Torah mitzvahs. It happens. So the answer to your question is, why? Why do you put on pants in the morning? I'm comfortable walking around without pants. The answer is because that's who you are. You're a normal person, you wear pants. A Yid wants to be connected to Hashem. There's a piece of you that's inside that cannot be denied. Would a guy choose to live a life as an Erlich Yid? That's doing something new. That's taking on a new life. But when you're a Jew, Chazon Ish said, since Matan Torah, it's in us. It's in us who we are. And it's quiet. He doesn't hear that bas kol inside of him because of his pain. The pain will go away over time with your medicine, with your treatment. And he's going to start hearing this little thing. I saw it so many times with my own eyes. That same kid who had no shaykhis to anything, and he just said, maybe I could be from one day. What? Where did that come from? Because it's always there. Ner Hashem nishmas adam. Why are we compared to a candle? Because a candle is the only thing in the world that defies gravity. You turn it upside down, and it still goes up. How's that shaykh? Everything else you turn upside down, try it with Pringles. Next time you're eating in your room. Turn it upside down, you'll see what happens to the Pringles all over the floor. Okay? A candle goes up. We are candles. We have inside a flame. That's a fact. It's a reality. Even if you didn't grow up in Chabad. We know it. We know they're right. It's chelik alakam mimal mamish. We didn't. By the way, you guys, we didn't know about this. This is like not our talk, but it's true. Okay, we believe it also. And we have a flame inside of us. And even if these kids are turned upside down, and even if they're way deep down, and I've worked with so many kids myself, the flame flickers. All of a sudden, that just little flicker. We had a girl who was so far away for so many years. All of a sudden, she ended up in a college campus very far away. Rosh Hashanah, she went to the Chabad, the guy over there, to hear shofar. If you would have asked her parents a day before, forget about 5 years before, I'll bet you $1,000. Would your daughter go for it? They would say, never. It happens because this is who we are. And I spoke about it last night. These kids bring out tremendous kavod shemayim. We should be zeichet to see it. The only thing you should be thinking of is, if this is the medicine we believe in, am I doing it right? Am I doing 100%? We have parents here who didn't finish the manual yet. I wrote a book for you. It's 1,100 pages. It's not daf yomi. You can't take 3.5 years to finish it. Whatever it is, 2 years. You got to go. 3 years. You got to learn it, and know it, and live it, and listen to the SD card. I listen to the SD card. I go into my car. I listen not just to me. I listen to all the stuff. I have a library of collection on chizuk from rabbanim, from experts, from therapists. You know how many therapy sessions I gave you, and chizuk from therapists. All different aspects, Yaakov Solomon, Shimon Russell, Trisha Tia, Reggie Melrose, David Pelkovitz, it's all on there. You have to be a mumcha in saving your child. You have to go to sleep at night knowing, Hashem, I did everything I could. Okay? Shleisha shutfim ba'adam. Mommy's doing everything she could, Daddy's doing everything he could, and we ask Hashem, you're the third shutif. Of course Hashem's going to do everything he could. He's going to answer your tefillas. Another reason why he's going to come back, because you're davening. You're davening. Schus Havos is there. It's there. It'll all work out just fine. So let's have emunah in Hashem, emunah in the child, that he's a chelik alakam mimal mamish, and he has a neshama that's gonna make it out of this dark golus. The neshama is in darkness, and he's gonna make it out. And let's have faith in what we're doing. Faith in the words of the Baal Shem Tov, and the faith in the words of the Chazon Ish. And also we have, Baruch Hashem, already so many kids that pulled out of this. Mitzvah Hashem, it's going to happen to you too. The last thing I want to say is, the tefillah, I think, of the tzibur in this room, of you angels that are davening for each other, is potent. Is mamish, mamish, mamish. When you say the tefillahs that we say at the end, it's so powerful to Hashem, because you're mamish able mispal ba'ad chaveroi. You're davening for each other. You're living with each other. You're imay anaychi b'tzara. It's not a small thing. It's amazing. So we're also all davening for you and for everybody in the room.